I saw 201 2024 releases, and if you're thinking that that's too many, you are right. A big part of that is that I was lucky enough to see a lot of films at festivals this year, which added to that number. But did I need to watch Dear Santa starring Jack Black? No, I did not, and that is the only time that movie will be mentioned in this video. So I've spent the last couple weeks deliberating, watching, and rewatching. Some people had to be cut from the team. I don't think anyone really likes making a best of the year list, and I want to say, I thought this was a great year for film. I gave a ton of movies 4 stars and above, so what ended up on my actual list are the films that I personally feel the most excited by, but my complete list and a lot of reviews for other films will be up on my Letterboxd as well. But we're going for a top 20 this year, which I already regret, but I cannot wait to hear what everyone's favorite movies of 2024 were. Let me know what you thought of the year overall, and we don't need to stall. I'm fine with the permanence of committing this list to my channel right now, so let's begin. Starting off at number 20 is a little film called Problemista, written and directed by Julio Torres. Julio Torres's humor is very specific. It's not for everyone, but I really love it. And I thought that for a debut, this was so unique and fully realized as this zany, surreal dive into his character Alejandro's life as he navigates the immigration process in the US. The production design and visual representations of how anxiety-inducing and counterintuitive it is are so effective and inventive, but it's also consistently hilarious, and it has Tilda Swinton in it, and she looks like this. I'm very excited about number 19 because it is The Bike Riders, a film I really don't think got enough appreciation this year. Jeff Nichols got the idea for this from the photographer Danny Lyon's book of the same name that only had images of biker gangs from the 60s, and he turned it into this deconstruction of coolness and how fragile these masculine ecosystems are and how those spaces were changing during this era. It's not a perfect film, but I think about it all the time for some reason, and it's included with Prime Video now, so if you haven't watched it yet, you can help it recover from being a flop at the box office. At number 18, I have Exhibiting Forgiveness. This is the writer and director Titus Kaphari's first feature film, and in an interview he said one of his friends told him, "You've been painting this movie your entire life." It's an autobiographical extension of his work as an artist. And I feel very personally connected to this film. Andre Holland plays a man whose estranged father comes back into his life, and he has to reckon with what it means to forgive and whether that's synonymous with reconciliation. I thought it was a really refreshingly honest approach to that, but it also explores the limitations of religion and forgiveness while trying to have empathy. And it also assigns this sort of divine element to finding empowerment and processing trauma through art. All of the performances are stunning. Like, Andre Holland is so good in this movie. I don't think all of its ideas coalesce perfectly, but it's a really beautiful project that I wish more people had seen. And it has the kid from I Saw the TV Glow, Ian Foreman. Coming in at number 17 is Conclave. I think it's very funny that the Cunty Priest movie became such an internet sensation this year. I really enjoyed Conclave. I don't think it's like one of the best films of the decade, but I also would not be mad at all if it won Best Picture. It's a sophisticated adult drama with an important and current message, and Berger and Fontaine shot the shit out of it. Number 15 is also very special to me and something that you can see in theaters right now, the Robbie Williams biopic, Better Man. If you don't already know, Robbie Williams is a very famous singer-songwriter in the UK, and the big spectacle about this film is that he is a CGI ape the entire movie and everyone else is just normal. I also want to apologize because I've been calling him a CGI monkey this whole time, but he's technically a chimpanzee, which is an ape. The VFX for him were done by the same studio as the Planet of the Apes films. But I could talk about this movie for hours. We did a lot on my podcast, but it's just an insanely bold thing to do for a film like this. It's the best musical of the year and the last several years. It's electric, it's touching, it's fun. Michael Gracie can count on me being at any movie he makes, which was kind of already the case because I do love The Greatest Showman. At number 15 is Hundreds of Beavers, one of the most, or maybe the most, creatively ingenious movie of the year. I have never been so gobsmacked in the theater at how they were even able to accomplish something practically and visually, but it's also just a hilarious snowballing Looney Tunes bit. I met the guys who made it at Fantastic Fest, and they were exactly like you would expect in like the best way. At number 14, I have How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies, a Thai film about a boy who volunteers to take care of his sick grandmother in hopes of getting some of her inheritance. I watched this film right after I had been at my grandma's house and going through all these antiques that she had with my dad, and I've just grown a lot closer with my grandma in recent years, so it really hit home how this film reminds you of what's really important in life. It has this really cathartic feeling of melancholy about it, and the way everything is framed is just gorgeous. It has one of the best scores of the year, and you can rent it right now. It's a great movie. Number 13 is a very on brand pick, but everyone gets a couple, okay? It's Bad Boys Ride or Die. This was one of my favorite theater experiences of the year. I love the bombastic direction. I find Adil and Bilal to be some of the most exciting up-and-coming directors right now. I mean, they inherited this franchise from Michael Bay so seamlessly. It still has that glossy Miami melodrama everyone loves and plenty of Bay homages, but they put their own spin on it. And I love how maximalist they are, always finding ways to make the camera movements more thrilling with drones and this reversing Snorri cam rig they built, and Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are as funny as ever. Those who know it, the Reggie salute scene is one of my favorites of the year, of my life. It's so funny. I love this movie. In my number 12 slot, I have The Beast. This is a French film starring Léa Seydoux and George McKay. To call it a tragic romance is too simple. It's the film on this list that I'm probably most eager to rewatch because the way that Bonello plays with tone and form in different time periods is a lot to process, and it's a sci-fi film. The characters are going through this process of having their DNA purified in a world where emotions are deemed as an obstacle and AI has taken over. I don't want to say too much about it, but it's just really powerful. It feels really urgent, and it has one of the best endings of the year. At number 11, I have Queer. I loved making my full review for this because it was the film that challenged me the most this year, and I think that there's a lot of value to Luca Guadagnino and Justin Kuritsky's even taking the chance of adapting this material and creating a film that it seems like everyone has had a very individualized experience with. The score and cinematography are some of the best of the year. I'm going to be thinking about it for a long time. Now we are entering the official top 10, and the first film is Monkey Man. I know, you all forgot about Monkey Man, but I'm still here. I saw this at the world premiere at South by Southwest, like the first time Dev Patel had shown his passion project to the world. It was very intoxicating, so I made sure to rewatch it, and it totally holds up for me. I'm really in love with the production of this film and how it was willed into existence. They had cameras swinging on ropes and COVID complications and injuries. It's like the same scrappy hunger that Dev Patel's character has in this, you can feel from him behind the camera. And I think its rough edges are what makes it work so well for me. And I'm just very excited to see what Dev Patel does next. Coming in at number 9, we have The Brutalist. This is the film I'm a bit hesitant about revisiting because I loved it, but it gets dangerously close to crumbling under its own weight in the second half. I think the first half is perfect, but what Brady Corbet and Mona Fastvold have done is almost irresponsibly ambitious, but also pretty undeniable. It is like a new great American epic. It truly feels that way, both on a technical and narrative level. The performances, particularly from Guy Pearce and Adrian Brody, are phenomenal. I mean, the way it tackles legacy and the creative process and this insidious Faustian relationship they're involved in as a manifestation of the immigrant experience, that is like 1/20th of what is going on in this film. At the very least, I do think it's a major achievement and that everyone should try and watch it. My number 8 is Luca Guadagnino's second appearance, Challengers. I cannot believe Challengers has been so boxed out of awards season, but whatever. They were afraid of the biblical levels of tension and drama. It's too hip. It's too sexy. I reviewed this one a while ago, and I actually haven't seen it since it came out, but the screenplay, the score, great split diopter shot, thank you Sayambu Mukdipram, and another great ending. Lots of good endings this year. At number 7, I have an insane buzzer beater because I watched this like a couple days ago, Evil Does Not Exist. I'm discovering a proclivity I may have for Hamaguchi's work. There's something really cosmic and striking about it. I think Drive My Car is one of the best films of the decade, and Evil Does Not Exist might feel less grandiose, but that's what's so great about it. It's about these residents in a small village outside Tokyo who are dealing with this company's plan to build a glamping site near where this father, Takumi, lives with his daughter. It's about how we choose to coexist with nature, how we're a part of it, what we're currently doing to it. I don't want to give too much away, but if you haven't seen it, I will say be prepared to not take everything literally. It can trip you up a little bit because it's very naturalistic. It's a slower film. Hamaguchi will let conversations run. The scenes are very long and lived in, but everything is intentional and culminates in one of my favorite endings of the year. At number 6, I have a movie that I kind of locked in a box after I watched because it's frightening, Red Rooms. This is a French-Canadian film about a young woman who is capital O obsessed with a high-profile case of a serial killer and her mission to find a missing piece of evidence related to the case on the dark web. There are a lot of films that sort of implicate the audience in what they're depicting about the modern world, but the way this approaches our fetishization of true crime and the isolation of the internet, is really unpleasant in the best way. I think it should be mandatory viewing from this year. And this one also has a great split diopter shot. At number 5, I have a film that is very near and dear to me for sporting one of my favorite female characters of all time, Furiosa. What is there left to say about Furiosa? I did a full review for this one, and I still feel just as excited about what George Miller has done with hundreds of millions of dollars of studio money. George Miller had been working on Furiosa's Odyssey since before Fury Road. I think this has better world building than like the Dune movies. The chapter that's called, I think, The Stowaway is one of the greatest things ever, and it's just one of the most ambitious, weirdest blockbusters in recent memory. My number 4 is going to shock many. I have Trap. Fork Found in Kitchen. It'll be a shocking day that an M. Night movie doesn't end up in my top 10. I pray that one day we won't have to do the whole M. Night thing when one of his movies comes out and people will just accept what his voice and style is. Trap is intentionally hilarious, but it's also a really powerful character study about a guy who's forced to have his work life and family life collide. M. Night cast his own daughter in a movie about being a dad and how your love for your kids is the most powerful thing in the world. Justice for Trap. And one last split diopter shot. Thank you again, Sayambu McDeepram. We're almost to number 1, but at number 3 is Dune Part 2. Knife Found in Kitchen. I'm a Dune chill. I, of course, reviewed this one. I'll always wonder, though, like how differently I would feel about these films if I hadn't started reading the books after I was already aware of Denis Villeneuve's films. But I completely understand the way he's adapting it. I think it's the best version of Dune we're ever going to get, and I cannot wait for Messiah. At number 2 is Anora. I love Anora. I have talked about this movie in great detail. It's one of the videos from this year that I'm proudest of and had the most fun making. From the deconstruction of the American dream to the screwball comedy, the ending, Mikey Madison's performance, it's been cool to see how Sean Baker's style has evolved, and this is probably my favorite film of his to date, save for maybe The Florida Project. And at number 1, I tried to be sneaky about it leading up to this video, but my number 1 movie has been the same since literally, I think, January. I Saw the TV Glow. This movie is PG-13, but it's one of the most harrowing things I've maybe ever seen because it's about what happens when you don't live a life of truth, specifically through the lens of being trans. The trans allegory here is not subtle, but I do think it's important to be in that headspace in order to appreciate the inner workings of these characters because it's a little abstract. It was marketed as an A24 horror film, which can make people expect something more conventional, but while this is more accessible than We're All Going to the World's Fair, Jane Schoenbrunn is a one-of-a-kind filmmaker. I think they are a genius who makes, and this is a theme with a lot of these, but some of the most insightful films into our modern relationship to technology and media, and here nostalgia as well, and how that interacts with our identity. Justice Smith and Bridget Lundy Payne are incredible. I will be thinking about Bridget Lundy Payne's monologue with the projector for the rest of my life. If we lived in a just world, this would be nominated for every Oscar, but the Academy is not nearly cool enough for that, so it gets my award for the best movie of 2024. Wow, that was a journey, but those are my top 20 movies of 2024, guys. Here they are, all ranked out. If you stuck around for the whole thing, thank you. I really felt like uncomfortable only doing 10 because I loved so many movies this year. Or last year. I am very ready for 2025 to get started, so drop your best of 2024 lists and let me know what you're most excited for this year. I am seeing Wolfman tonight, which I will almost definitely be reviewing in the next couple days. So don't forget to like and subscribe and keep an eye out for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.